Beyond the laboratory, how time flows in daily life. Another year has already passed. As we age, we find ourselves saying this more and more often. But scientists have long failed to properly understand this phenomenon. Why? Because they had only studied time perception in the artificial environment of laboratories. The laboratory illusion. In 2021, German neuroscientists made an intriguing discovery. They realized that existing research on time perception had a fundamental problem. Most experiments were conducted in simple environments. For example, measuring the duration of a white dot blinking on a black screen. But real life isn't like that. The researchers showed participants complex visual scenes. A street scene unfolds, street lights turn on, car headlights flash. Then they asked later, how long was that light on? Participants weren't told in advance that they would be measuring time. Just like how we experience web page loading times in daily life. We don't watch the clock and measure time. We just feel that it's taking too long. The difference between young and old. The results were surprising. On simple screens, there wasn't much difference in time perception ability between young people and the elderly. But when complex real-life scenes appeared, the situation changed. Young people actually became more accurate. The real-world context helped them. Meanwhile, older adults' accuracy declined. What's the reason? As we age, our brain's ability to filter out information unrelated to time weakens. A young person's brain can command, ignore the streetlights, cars, and buildings, just remember how long the light was on. But an older person's brain becomes confused as all information floods in at once. It's like having difficulty hearing only your conversation partner's voice in a noisy cafe. This matters because our real lives aren't the simple environment of a laboratory. We live in a complex world. On the commute, countless cars and people pass by, and in the office, colleagues' conversations and computer noise overflow. It's precisely in these environments that older adults find it difficult to perceive time accurately. The secret of retrospective time. The research made another important discovery. There are two ways we perceive time. One is prospective time perception. Consciously measuring time by thinking, I need to time 5 minutes starting now. The other is retrospective time perception. Looking back after experiencing something, and wondering, how long did that take? Which is more common in our lives? Obviously retrospective time perception. When we start our day, we don't think, I should measure how quickly today will pass. We just live the day, and only in the evening do we feel, today passed in a blur. Here lies the reason why time seems to pass more quickly as we age. When we are young, every day is new. We meet new people, go to new places, have new experiences. The brain diligently records this information. So when we look back on the day, it feels like we experienced a lot, and time feels long. But as we age, daily life becomes repetitive. We commute the same route, meet the same people, do the same work. The brain judges it as already known information, and doesn't record it in detail. So when we look back on the day, there's little to remember, and it feels like time passed quickly. A week passes that way, a month passes that way, and suddenly a year has gone by. How to reclaim time? So what should we do? The German researchers' findings give us important insights. The fact that older adults have difficulty with time perception in complex environments paradoxically tells us what we need to do. First, seek new experiences. You need to make your brain think, this is new, I should record this. Take a different route to work. Have lunch at a new place instead of the usual restaurant. On weekends, sit on an unfamiliar park bench instead of the familiar sofa. It doesn't have to be a grand change. Small novelties awaken the brain. Second, consciously experience the present. If retrospective time perception is the problem, then experience this moment more vividly. Look at the sky on your commute. Savor the taste of lunch. Listen to a colleague's laughter. If you're conscious of moments as if taking photographs, those moments remain as memories later. Third, Don't fear complexity. The research says young people actually became more accurate in complex environments. Our brains work better within context. Step out of monotonous routines and into rich experiences. That's how to keep your brain young, beyond the laboratory. What's the greatest significance of the 2021 German study? It's that science left the laboratory and entered real life. For decades, scientists studied time in simple environments. But we don't live in simple environments. We live in a world that's complex, noisy, and unpredictable. So the saying time passes more quickly as you age isn't a laboratory finding, but a truth of life. When an elderly person says, "Last year already passed," it's not a simple illusion. Their brain has actually become less able to track time in the complexity of daily life, and creates fewer new memories. But there's also hope. This research doesn't say we're powerless. Rather, it says we have choices. Adding novelty to daily life, being conscious of the present, pursuing rich experiences. These are things we can do. One participant in their 50s reportedly said after the experiment, while watching the street scene, "I realized how long I hadn't really looked at my surroundings." That's exactly it. We didn't lose time, we weren't looking at it. The final question I want to ask you: do you remember this morning's commute? Do you remember the taste of lunch? Do you remember the conversation with your colleague? If you don't remember, those times have disappeared from your life without a trace. When that accumulates, it becomes a week, a month, a year. And you'll say, "Another year has already passed." But tomorrow can be different. Look at the sky on your commute. Savor your lunch. Focus on conversations. Walk a new path. Try small adventures. Then when you lie in bed in the evening, you'll remember today. When such days accumulate into a year, that year may have passed quickly, but it won't be empty. Time flows. We cannot stop it. As we age, our brains change too. We cannot stop that either. But there's one thing we can do. Live this moment, this day, meaningfully. What the German scientists discovered while studying complex scenes and retrospective memory is ultimately a simple truth. Life is not a laboratory. Life is complex, rich, and unpredictable. And it's in that very complexity that we experience and remember time. So go out, experience, remember. That's the only way to reclaim time.